You're such an asshole.
Good evening, pajama wearing Cappy here over at assholeconsulting.com. We got an interesting request and it required that I do a little bit of research. Let me get that a little bit closer. There we go. Hey, Cappy, one of your young female viewers here. Oh, you're the other one. Okay. Me and my roommate have benefited greatly from your content. We're both 24 years old. Just to give some context, my roommate has read Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty and Cursed with High IQ is starting to make a better life for himself. Oh, the black guy, eh? All right. Is his name Dre? Well, yeah, here he comes. The reason for reaching out is that the U.S. has changed math. No, math is math. How we've taught math has changed because the U.S. will go over it. I went to public school in New York, and in 2009, they instituted Common Core Math. Common Core Math basically threw everything everyone knows about math out the window and burned it. Can I please get a video response on what you think of this? I provided a Vox link, I know, for context, and I listened to it. Please let me know your price as well. I hope you have a great day. Asshole, sincerely, Sarah. Well, thank you, Sarah. So what I did is I won't lie. I'm glad I wasn't around for it. I looked at it and I'm like, okay, it's just a bunch of government, nonprofit, bureaucratic academics fixing shit that ain't broke. All right. And since I enjoy the decline, I don't care about the future. I was like, well, it sucks to be them, that kind of thing. It sucks to be a millennial. You're going to pay for my Social Security. It sucks to be Gen Z. You're going to pay for my Medicare, Medicaid, Medicare. But I did have like kind of a hunch, a theory, more of a hunch. Theory is a little bit more intellectual and academic. This was a hunch that I bet you some gal with her master's in education who is completely worthless because, I'm sorry, doctorate in education. You had to have a doctorate in it, who never actually taught, who never was a real human being, was like this nerdy square, antisocial square. Like, not nerds would still have friends, but just a spinster, the epitome of a spinster. And she had her doctoral thesis on a new way to do math. And she knew the right guy, the right people at the right government department. And they said, oh my God, it's new. Never mind. It's not better than how we did things the old way, but it was new. And I could see the education industry, education system totally going for throwing out what has always worked in time immemorial to something that's new. Because we have to make progress. And the key thing to understand about the left in general is you can't leave things optimized. You have to change it because otherwise you're not doing anything. It's more important that you do something, and even though it replaces the optimal way of doing things with a inferior, less optimal way of doing things, and everybody else suffers as a consequence because you are more important than society. And that's what I thought it was. I thought there was somebody up there who sucked enough dick in the education hierarchy that okay, now we're going to do this. And I was more or less wrong. Because when I looked into, okay, what are the origins of Common Core, not just math, but Common Core in general, basically it was two things. I'm going to read an article here so we all are a little bit more educational, but it was two reasons. One, the United States, we're 50 independent countries, or we were at one time, and each state has their own way of doing things. Now, we all taught math the same way. Multiply, carry the one, okay, this thing, and add a zero, line, and division, there's the thing, okay, this is the numerator, that's the denominator. I mean, so it's standardized in that way, but and here's where your academics and your education industry comes in. But are we teaching it the right way? It's like, look, if you want it so standardized, let's not have teachers. Let's just have YouTube. Let's just have robots teach it. And then we can fire all the teachers, save literally $500 billion a year. We don't want to have different people teaching things slightly differently. But there is a concern about how it was being taught. It wasn't standardized. This lack of standardization led to disparate and different results. Some states were not as good. Some states were not as bad. Some groups are falling behind, not even necessarily racial or sexual, but, I don't know, Delaware was falling behind Colorado, whatever. And there's also the need for kind of standardized testing, which I thought we took all the time because I remember like time for standardized testing. They're called PISA scores, PISA. I'm like, well, what the hell was that? Apparently we weren't standardized enough. Apparently there's too much individuality. Apparently we're not robots or NPCs enough. So there was a standardization issue. The other thing is they wanted to not only standardize, but overhaul how we taught things to be more competitive with the Koreans. And they literally say South Korea, among other higher performing countries. Finland is always up there. Switzerland is up there. I guess Sweden and Norway are up there too, but Finland has always kicked ass. Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, China. And I would argue it's because they work harder because their parents make them do Kumon. Their parents like, are you studying? And American parents like, here's your tablet. Where's your dad? Oh, I divorced him 3 years ago. Mommy's got to go out and party. I got to get my pink shirt on. I don't know, man. I thought it was my subject. Dad, can I? I'm busy. I'm drinking a scotch because I have to put up with your mother. I don't know. I'm going bowling with the guys. I'm no expert, but it would seem to me that Asians and Finlanders study more than Americans. That might be why they're doing better. No, it's got to be the way we're teaching it. Anyway, so they thought that having this new way of teaching things, math included, would improve everyone's scores and make us more competitive on the international scene. Because, hey, it's easier than telling parents and kids to study more. That's really what it is. They'll see it's not that our children are lazy, worthless pieces of shit because their parents are worthless, lazy pieces of shit. No, it's the way we're teaching it. So to be more internationally competitive is why this came about. So then they went out in the respective fields and hired and consulted, and the Bill and Melinda Gates were involved. And there's a bunch of nonprofits and Washington organizations, Washington think tanks, which is always eerie to me. It's like, I don't trust you guys. I don't trust Congress, but at least they declare, well, we're the government. Well, there's a nonprofit, a think tank here, a think tank there, whatever. Okay. And so they all got input from all these experts in all these fields. And then, well, you really ought to teach it this way. You really ought to do it that way. And nothing is anybody's fault. It's just those Asians, man. They just got a better system. Not better parents or better students or better kids, just a better system. So when it came to math, this is why I'm going to read the article here. What is Common Core? The Common Core state standards are a new set of academic standards adopted by 43 states. The standards are meant to prepare students for college and careers to make the U.S. more competitive academically. They're benchmarks for what students should know to be able to do in math and language arts from kindergarten through senior year of high school. Common Core includes a lot of these benchmarks at each grade level, but there are a few unifying themes. Language arts standards focus on basing arguments on evidence. Well, we threw that out the window, huh? That's hilarious. See, you could see that this is just pie in the sky poppycock, because now you go to college, they throw evidence out the window. Why do women make less than men? Is it maybe in part because they major in dumb shit? Get out of here, sexist. Never mind. Just trying to help out women. Like really actually trying to help them out. That's evident. Oh, yeah. Students will write fewer personal narratives and more opinions. Great. Opinions of students. They'll also be asked to read more nonfiction. In math, the standards focus on fewer concepts, but in more depth. States used to set their own academic standards, and they could vary widely in rigor. The goal of common standards is to make sure all public students are prepared for college and for jobs when they graduate from high school. And college is just so hard and so worthwhile now. This is like in 2009 they were doing it. And college was pretty worthless back then, but now it is a joke, regardless of where they live. Writing assignments are more about evidence-based arguments and less on personal narratives like what I did on my summer vacation. Math standards focus on fewer topics. Oh, I already read that. Meant to progress logically from grade to grade. 2 state groups. So here's your nonprofit places. The National Governors Association, which actually is legitimate. They're the guys, I think they're the ones that created Western Governors University. And the Council of Chief State School Officers created the Common Core standards in 2009, 2010, but they're in the news now because states are beginning to use Common Core as the basis for state tests. As the standards move from theory to reality, they're becoming better known and often more controversial among parents and legislators. The Common Core standards are more challenging than what most states used to use, and kids aren't doing as well in these tests. That may be true, but you really made it more complicated in math, and we're going to find out why. So here we go. Who created it? 2 nonprofit groups, and others contributed. One is the Council of Chief State School Officers, represents top K through 12 education officials from all U.S. states and territories. And the other is National Governors Association. Achieve, a nonprofit education reform group, also helped. The groups brought in 2 major teachers unions, the National Education Association and the American Federation of People That Hate Children. I mean, teachers. That's what? People who hate children. Booty boo, ba, ba, ba. All right. What are the problems they're trying to solve? First, Americans, our students are middle of the road at best on academic skills when compared to other countries on international tests. Policymakers and business leaders hope that tougher standards will help the U.S. catch up globally. No, stricter parents and more studying and harder working students will help that up. But don't worry, we got participation trophies. We'll just pass people on. Second, under the old system, it was hard to compare students in different states. Until now, each state set its own standards for what students should understand at each grade level, and each state had a different definition of what it meant to be proficient in math and reading. So, all right, following a lot of variation, blah, blah, blah. Now, I delved into the math part of it. And what I looked up is who was responsible. Who is it, the people individually that were in charge of creating the Common Core standards of math? Now, of course, it was a lot of team effort. I want to start out by saying none of these people involved had malicious intent. They were not, in my mind, the theoretical doctoral candidate with her degree in education who was playing favors to get her thesis passed. And then, oh my God, it's amazing, change for change's sake. Right? These people were approached by those organizations in the government mentioned beforehand and say, we would like you to do this. So there are 3 men. One, Jason Zimba. Okay, you can look him up if you like. The second one is Philip Daro. Oh, he's a zany character. We'll get to him. Oh, he wears a hat. He's so crazy. And then the other one, I had to get his CV here. William McCallum. And I'm going to go over their backgrounds, bios, or in this case, a resume. And you guys tell me if you notice anything. Let's go with Jason Zimba. Where did he go? It's just an article of him. Okay, here I'll read about Zimba. Zimba 45 seemed an odd choice for a major national project like Common Core, McCallum and Daro, but you know what? Hang on, let me look up. Just bear with me. I may have deleted it. Okay. Dr. Jason Zimba, he, him, his. Okay. And this is Achieve. Okay, so there's Marxist leftist political indoctrination. Trying to find his bio. Google Scholar. Interest, personal site, year's best list. Just bear with me. I'll put. Okay. Should have found this. Let's do resume. I want the resume. Oh, for Pete's sake, I can't find it. Maybe it was in the article here. He grew up on outside, raised working class. Here it is. Working household, suburban Detroit. Chose William College in Massachusetts. Academically, the school was a good fit. Financially, it was more of a challenge. His friend Eric Mayberry said the two got to know each other because they were only poor people on campus. He was the only person who had several jobs. I don't dislike the guy. All right, but from Williams, Zimba's career took off. He was chosen for a Rhodes Scholarship to England's Oxford University in 1991. At Oxford, he befriended Yale student from Manhattan, David Coleman. Coleman went on to become a consultant for McKinsey, the global consulting firm. Zimba returned to Detroit to do stints at factory work to help support his family, but eventually he headed to the prestigious math department at the University of California, Berkeley, for a PhD in mathematical physics. In 1999, he connected with Coleman, ba-da-ba, boo-doo-boo, and ever since Coleman, I'm sorry, not Coleman, Zimba founded Achievement Partners. All right, so he's woke. Said funding was provided by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Carnegie and other foundations, and but he's been an academic and mathematical physicist or a physicist mathematician. And the problem with Zimba is when you look him up, everything's about Common Core. All right. But this guy, he's a mathematical genius. Okay. Mathematical genius. A leftist, but a mathematician. Because he's her. Let's now go to William McCallum. He is currently a professor at the Department of Mathematics at the University of Arizona. 1984, PhD, Harvard University. Math. 1977, Bachelor of Science, University of South Wales in Sydney, Australia. Employment, he's the president of Illustrative Mathematics, president and CEO of Illustrative Mathematics, head Department of Mathematics, University of Arizona from 2009-2013, director Institute of Mathematics and Education, 2006-2009, University Distinguished Professor, University of Arizona from 2006 to 2018, and also professor, I don't know what the difference is. University Distinguished Professor versus regular old professor. Oh, he was a regular professor from 96 to 2018, mathematics professor at Arizona. Several fellowships in different places, many actually. Honors and award, Mathematical Associate, Distinguished Public Service, Galileo Circle Fellow, publications, things you and I could not understand. Mathematical genius. Then, here's Phil. He's zany. He wears a hat. Phil Dario, lead writer, Common Core, State Standards, Mathematics, Works, Advanced Design, Leadership Tools for Improvement. Held leadership positions within the California Department of Education, served on numerous national committees addressing issues in mathematics assessment, standards, and instructions. He directed the National Center for Education and the Economy's New Standards Project. As Director of Mathematics for Strategic Education Research Partnership, Philip organized partnerships between the University of California, Stanford, and other universities, Oakland and California Unified School District. He was the design lead for a tablet-based K-12 mathematics curriculum, Math Project, Executive Committee, International Design Education, Panel Studies, BA in English with a minor in mathematics from the University of California, Berkeley. All right, so he is not a strict mathematician, but he has been on the forefront and he is an expert in educational mathematics or the education industry as it pertains to mathematics. Now, let me ask you, I'm wondering if you guys can identify what all three have in common. Let's go to the chat. What do all three of these guys have in common? Right? Let me go through the super chats if we have any, which we don't, so that's good. All right. I'll just wait because there's like a men today are neither men. No, that's not it. Who's Carly? Matt, penis. Yes, Matt, they all have penis. Maybe not. We don't know. All woke? No. I mean, they're all woke too. Yeah. Useless education? No. Mathematics? They wear a hat? No, that's just Phil. No RFEA jobs? No, guys, think. Come on. It's right there. No real world experience. Dre's the closest so far. I would argue most of them do not have real world experience. Oh, pricks. Come on. Will you guys just try it here? Trying to interact with, they all got jamokes. AOC 2024. No, I'll just tell you. You guys are going to play the jamoke game. I'll just tell you, okay? Ain't none of them normal people. They're not normal people. Two of them are mathematical geniuses. I'm not slamming on for the politics or anything like that. They are mathematical geniuses. They probably didn't get their peens touched until they were 35. They are not normal people. And then, crazy Daro, he wears a hat and he's zany with the kids. Yeah, but he's never set foot outside of the nonprofit world. Matter of fact, none of these people have set foot outside of academia. And some of them do have some nonprofit government, touchy-feely type of stuff. But no matter what that is, it's not the real world. And I would also argue that at least 2 out of the 3, maybe all 3, are incredibly intelligent people and would not be able to relate to a normal person if a gun was put to their head. In other words, like, who are you going to learn to fish? Who do you want to teach you to fish? Bubba, who's got his fishing boat and knows all the spots over on Lake Wabasha, and he's won the prize bass competition 5 years in a row? Are you going to believe a wildlife doctorate who studies aquatic sciences or whatever? And he or she knows exactly the pH balances, the chemical, and the migration patterns. Who are you going to trust? Bubba the fisherman or somebody with their doctorate in fish and hatchery wildlife studies? I'm going with Bubba. Why? Because Bubba is a normal person and he actually does it. Okay. These guys are great mathematicians. They're great academics. They're great people who know management and education and educational management and management of the education, as especially it pertains to math. Ain't not one of them a normal person. And therefore, them trying to figure out how to educate normal people is not going to happen. And their solution was overly complicated. I'm not saying it wasn't mathematically sound. And in their minds, maybe well, this makes so much more sense. It'll be so much more easier. But can't you just see, you fool? And they fail to realize it's like, yeah, not everyone is a mathematical genius with an IQ of 150 or a lifelong academic play the fuck around game with your hat over the California Department of Education. None of these people entered the real world. None of these people were normal. And therefore, they cannot develop a curriculum or an education process or whatever that will apply, be of benefit to, and be understood by the vast majority of people. It goes back, classic example, Russian T-34 tank versus the King Panzer or King Tiger. King Tiger tank. If it worked, it was amazing, but it was over-engineered. It would break down. And my God, how long did it take to train a crew on that? The T-34, I think they just started throwing guys in like, go. They were, of course, they were fighting the Nazis. They would get, without painting them, they're like, go. They wouldn't even bother painting them. Go to the front lines now. T-34, much simple. Do you want to fly a P-51 Mustang? Or I gotta fly a B-52, or even this nowadays. My Kia Rio, bless its soul, 2006. You know what it had? It had a steering column, it had ignition, it had standard transmission, it had a odometer, speedometer. I don't even think it had a tachometer, and it had a clock. I don't even think it had no, it didn't. It didn't have a CD. It had a radio. That was it. I hopped in my buddy's brand new Cadillac Escalade. Oh my God, what a waste of money. Holy shit. No key ignition. It just knows the keys. So I got to find the button. Boom. You have to have your foot on the putter, otherwise it won't start. It'll stop for you. Way over-engineered. And if you were to take a 15-and-a-half-year-old kid, okay, he passes his permit and he's got, what do you want to learn on? Because this math is new. Driving is new. What do you want to learn on? These guys gave these little kids this over-engineered, way too many bells and whistles Cadillac that the kids can't even figure it out. When what you should have done is give them a simple, standard, basic car without all the bells and whistles, without all the streamlining, and this is, it's so true. Academics in the past 50 years, all their solutions do not hold a candle. No matter how methodologically sound, No matter how smart, no matter how much research, no matter how much money was spent, the solutions, nearly everything coming out of colleges and the professoriate and academia in the past 50 years does not hold a candle to what humans figured out through trial and error over 200,000 years or 2 million years, depending on where you want to claim humanity existed. That you just don't hold it. You just don't hold a candle. Again, perfect example, women's studies, not to get political, but what? What? It's cute. That's a cute little sub-study you got going on there. 60 years of that, huh? You figured it all out. Yeah, ignore the 200,000. Oh, then why are women so miserable? It's the same thing. We figured out how to do math. We're doing just fine. We don't need you coming in with your souped up B-2 bomber with all the bells and whistles that ain't nobody know how to fly. People got to learn on Cessnas first, maybe a P-51. If you're really lucky, you get to a T-20 Tiger Shark. So I don't even know if they use that as training anymore. And that's why Common Core math isn't so common. That's why no one gets it. That's why kids are frustrated, parents who try to teach it. That's why probably some teachers don't like it, because it fixed a problem that didn't exist. It's over-engineered. It's created by abnormal and abnormally intelligent people. Abnormal people who aren't normal and couldn't associate with normal people, and abnormally intelligent people who, oh, here it is. You ever have a problem with your computer? You ever run in with computer IT guys? They're pricks. They're a bunch of fucking dicks. Because they assume that you know everything about computers. Heaven forbid you become a doctor or an accountant or a mechanic. Like, gee, I wonder what it's doing. Well, did you Control-Alt-Delete-R SQL? Yeah, I did do that. Oh, let me guess, you got Windows 7. Yeah, it only works on Windows 10. It's like, okay, you know what? Fuck you some more, and then go over there. Let me go grab a big fucking tree and fuck in your ass again. People, there's IT people, computer guys, they don't understand there's a thing called the division of labor. That guy's a chef. Well, and chefs, I think they're a little bit more normally like, well, yeah, they wouldn't know how to cut an onion. Why would I assume that of them? But IT guys, they all think you should know like how to read. They stopped supporting that in 2016. No wonder you don't get laid. That's kind of what these guys are. Not without the mean attitude of computer guys. They're at a different level, and they simply cannot. And so their solution probably works great for people with IQs above 135 and want to go to mathematics. But the rest of them, no. They don't even know what the real world is. They've all been in academia. They've never worked. Well, okay, the guy did work at the car factory. I'll admit that. That's where Zimba worked. And that's good. But since then, the other guy, Harvard, and then Mr. Hat Guy, oh, did you ever work? Like, did you produce one thing of GDP and like a penny of GDP in your life? Or were you just a government employee your entire life? Also not normal. So there you go. Now, the solution, Aaron, are you foolish? Are you going to try and give people a solution? Here, if you want it. The solution is to homeschool your kids or go to a school that doesn't teach Common Core math. Okay, that's it. That's all it is. You got the internet. There's digital high schools you can go to, get a real diploma. Maybe move to, they said only 43 states institute it. Go to one of the 7. I don't know how important your child's education is to you. But if you don't like Common Core, don't do it. Homeschool your kids. Kids 12 and they're well-behaved, you're a good parent, your kid should be able to be an autodidactic. You should be able to teach themselves, and they should be able to stay at home and not set the house on fire. But I know why that's not going to happen. Because the point and purpose of the education system, K through 12, is not to enrich the teachers. That's its secondary. And is not to brainwash the kids. That's a tertiary reason. The primary reason the public school exists is because you parents want free babysitting. That's it. And you're too damn lazy to educate your own kids. That's why this isn't going to change. So unless you're going to take your kids at home and spend time with them and educate them yourself, or at least say, oh, what'd you learn in school? And there's like an hour deprogramming, an hour de-brainwashing your children from the bullshit they learn. Like, okay, here's how you really do it. But my teacher, you're going to have to learn how to do it both ways, kid. All right. But until you guys are going to invest in your children that much, this is a very cute academic discussion. Now, unfortunately for you poor kids, the client and your roommate, yeah, man, I'm sorry you had to go through that. I'm really sorry. You were essentially, I wouldn't say guinea pigs. They did have well intentions, but you were the first generation they tried this out on, and it sucked. And it still sucks. It's going to suck for everyone unless you're a 148 IQ super math genius who's like, oh, yeah, this makes total sense. But, you know, it may have been, you know, good intentions. Let's help out the kids, but they gave absolutely no consideration to the kids themselves. It's just like, you have a master's and you've never set foot outside of Washington, D.C., and you don't know anything but the California education. You guys are the ones we need. You should have grabbed Bubba, who knows where the fishing holes are on Lake Wabasha, to teach you how to fish. Not Tanner McElroy with his doctorate in fish, wildlife, and hatcheries. All right. Do we have any super chats? We do. Eric Burns Marsh, $5. Don't teach a man to fish. We need universal basic seafood. Cappy, you suffered from pesco privilege. Sign the squad. Pesco privilege. Wiz Division Productions, $5. I've always been for street smarts over book smarts. Doesn't matter how smart you are if you can't explain a concept to the stupidest person on earth. Yeah, that's where the .coms. I don't know if you remember, but they'd be doing road trips and trying to sell, like, we need to raise $1 billion for ZYF.com. And then the investment bank is, again, where Wall Street's not that smart. Well, how do you make money? Well, it's very complicated. And then they just talk over their heads. Like, we understand if you don't get it. And they could not wait to fund these people. Elizabeth Holmes, anyone? Theranos. Remember that? Oh, she has a vagina. Let's support her. Oh, what do you mean to do? I don't know how it works. That's that technology stuff. And you're a shitty teacher if you cannot explain an advanced concept to and I don't want to say a simple mind. It sounds insulting, but you take your average person. If you can't explain a concept, you're either lying or you yourself don't understand it, or you're too lazy to sit down and translate it to normal person speak. This is why if you ever hear like Marxist economists, you're like, wait, run that past. Try reading Paul Krugman. Try reading it. Try making heads and tails out of that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, you're lying. That's what you're doing. You're lying. I get it now. Athamaldekia 666. Don't take fluid mechanics during the summer and work 90 hours a week at the same time. Poop Mexicans, Mexican poops. Took my fluid mechanical today. Class was fun, but brutal. Did you pass your final, Atham? That was the big thing. And you're an idiot, by the way. 90 hours a week and taking 2 classes, especially STEM? What's wrong with you? I could have told you that. You got to learn time management, man. Long story short, $5. I went back to college after losing my restaurant in the recession of 2009. I felt like Rodney Dangerfield at back to school. I bet you did. Did you go to like business classes or something? I would have loved to see professors in business talk. Oh, I would have loved to see that. Pat H, new guy, $5. Hey, Cappy, did you compete in ballroom? Currently learning international standard, favorite dances, foxtrot, rub. Not to bore you with the details, but I did not compete in the classical sense. There's 2 worlds of the ballroom dance world and community, 2 communities within the ballroom dance world. There's street dancing. We just go to a nightclub and they got salsa night, and there's like a 5-10 minute introductory course, and you learn from other people, and you kind of watch and you reverse engineer, and you just learn to dance without any formal training. Then there is the, I don't know, for lack of a better word, the professional world, where you go to a Arthur Murray or a Fred Astaire, you go to a professional ballroom dance instructor, and they teach you not just the moves, but how to hold your hand, and there's bronze, silver, and gold, and you compete, and that is Snoresville. That is I don't want to say it's bullshit. It's not, because you actually do compete and it's real, but it is just like, telling me how to hold my ankle. I was in a Tango performance team, and that was my exposure to that professional world. All right, your toe isn't pointing right. It's like, look, dude, I'm just trying to get the basics down right now. Wait till I get that down. We can worry about me pointing my toe. I remember one guy teaching girls how to kick their dress up, because there'd be weights in the seam of the lower part of the dress, and you kick it up and it would arc. You need to kick more. And it's like, no. I want to have fun with this. Now, when I competed, it would be like, hey, there's a dance competition over here at the, what do they call it? The Wabasha Street Caves. So you go there and you compete. And then, there's a competition here. There's a competition there. And it wasn't anything official or anything. It'd just be like, oh, you win $100 or you win drinks for that night. And yeah, I would clean house for quite some time there. I would clean house. And then inevitably people get better than you. And you're like, is it really worth it? And then your girl you were dancing with breaks up with you, or you break up with her, and or you weren't even dating, and then they get a boyfriend, and then she's not allowed to dance with you anymore. So that, the international standard, I don't know what that means. I really don't know what it means. Favorite dances. My favorite dance is Charleston, which is a subset of swing. I like swing. I do like salsa. There's a thing called heel shag. It's a very simple dance, but it's you can dance to a lot of slower stuff with it, like jazz and blues. And it's one of the easiest dances to learn, and you can look like $1 million doing it, and people have no idea what you're doing. Their eyes will be mesmerized, but if you teach them the math behind it. Wisdom Vision Productions, $5 again. AFU Cappy, us professional IT guys are patient with God. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Not my fault you got a bunch of sweaty, greasy man babies fixing your PC. Hey, you watch the IT crowd, right? Wisdom, have you ever seen it? Have you tried turning it off and on again? Cavort. I have some sympathy, but pretty much every IT guy that I'm like, hey, I got a question, they get so pissed that you have 5 to 10 years experience in Windows Server 2010. You're like, look, dude, I'm a credit analyst. I run financial statements. I don't get pissed off at you that you know what like a debt service coverage ratio is, do I? Oh, Nonstop Trade 360, $2. Aaron expects parents to actually rise their kids. First, you spell my name wrong. Then you spell raise wrong. What are you, Common Core, Dre? What's going on here? Oh, he's a Marine. That's what it is. Yeah, I know. Foolish me. Oh. Hang on. Skip the $20 one. We can't skip the $20. That's even more than 20. It's like $25 because it's a British pound. Rich, for 20 generous pounds. Order Bachelor Pad Economics High IQ book and Book of Numbers with some other dozen financial books, age 27 and only investing now in own future business material. Get a personal trainer certificate and interested in sports psychology. That's not a thing. That is not a thing. Your personal trainer is not a business. That's not a business. I mean, yeah, maybe I don't know what the UK equivalent of a 1099 is. I mean, yes, you may be a contractor, but you are not going to major. You know what you need to do? You need to get this book, Worthless, The Young Person's I appreciate you buying all those other books. This is the book you need. If you're going to waste Lord knows how much of the taxpayers' money, because people don't pay for their own education in the UK, if you're going to spend that much of your time, get this book so you don't waste your time on that degree. It's a horrible degree. Sports psychology. Hey, maybe you could have got Simone Flowers or whatever the gal's name who cracked and couldn't perform at the Olympics. But anyway, yeah. Or wait, you know what, Rich? You don't even have to go to the education section in Bachelor Pad Economics and read that. I don't think you need to get this book, actually. I don't think you need this one, but just read the education thing. Goth Rocker 7, $5. Krugman is a waste. Something wrong with him. Twisted views on everything. Well, he knows exactly what he's doing. He doesn't believe a word he says. He's just writing for the New York Times, reading on an elite liberal leftist. That's it. Here's the economic rationalization. Don't look too closely. But he's richer than me. Long story short, $5. Are Marxists a waste to debate on YouTube? Yes. YouTube. Look, forget Marxists or politics. Anyone who is intellectually dishonest is a waste of time. And the reason why is that they put their ideology ahead of everything else, including truth. And generally speaking, if you are arguing with someone, you're trying to get to the bottom of things. You're trying to figure out what is reality. And what you will see with Marxists, religious people, religious ideologues, any kind of feminists, environmentalists, pacifists, they give no damn about the real world. They give no damn about logic or even logical theorems, which your mind actually does normally. They don't care to be honest. They will do everything to protect their ideology because that is the most important thing they have in their life. Right? Argue with someone who believes in fat pride or fat acceptance. Think about that. I had to dig 4 trenches today, and I sweated through like I think a gallon of water. The fact is, there's no good reason to be fat. None. There's not one good thing that comes of it. Okay. Health problems, romantic problems, sexual problems, social problems, mental problems. Nothing good comes from being fat. All right. But you will find, I don't know what, but I would guess out of the 320 million Americans, 160 million of which are women, there are probably tens of millions of women, which is when you consider like older gals, old women, they're like, what? No, fat. You don't want to be fat. I know I got fat, but you don't want to be fat. They know it at least. But out of the younger women, a significant percentage of them, tens of millions of young women, want to lie to themselves and convince themselves that big is beautiful, fat acceptance, beauty at any size or anything like that. Even they themselves deep down inside don't believe it, just like most Marxists don't. And they know that. And that's why they're slippery and slimy. That's why they'll use, this is very common in religion. They'll use words or concepts that are only specific to that religion. You're like, what the heck? Council of Nicaea, what does that mean? Ecumenical, what are you talking about? Well, if you don't know what ecumenical is, then apparently it's like, no. You just made that up to have this circular, insular, what's the word I'm looking for? A circular confirmation. It doesn't need internal validate. It doesn't need any external validation. It's just internally validated. There's some with a circle. I forgot. And so you are wasting your time because they have no intention of being open-minded or admitting that they're wrong at all. Right. Which is, prove me wrong. But show me data. And don't show me bias. I just did a thing on some guy, Mark Wolf, and he's a Marxist professor in economics, or I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. And I was watching him cite all these statistics. I'm like, okay, it wasn't even needed a keen eye. You're like, well, wait a minute, that's not right. Or what about this? Or he was like, it would take us 200 years to eliminate poverty. It's like, that's lightning speed for the human race. That'd be great. And he makes it sound like it's bad. And that's the problem I have with any intellectually dishonest person, whether they're a Marxist or a religious zealot, or you can even have, someone on the right do the same thing. They just don't know the economics or the empirical data. And so let alone on YouTube. And so the only thing I've been able to come up with is you bet on one thing that is empirical and provable, and you both agree on the data source. And even then, these slimy bastards will try and get out of it. But yeah, there's no reason to argue with someone who has no intention of being intellectually honest, because if they're not, then you're just banging your head against the wall. I asked the guy why he had a USSR flag in his profile while claiming to hate imperialism. Right, but he doesn't get it. He doesn't. Ask him about Afghanistan. Ask him about Russia's support of North Korea. Ask about Russia's support of not communist China. Where else was there? It's Cambodia. What am I thinking? Angola. I mean, ask him about the Hungary uprising. Yeah. Ask him about the Iron Curtain. Ask him about the Berlin Wall. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but see, and you could get them. You could get them. Like you have them dead to rights. And those, oh, that was a real commie. I mean, there's always. And so there's no reason. All you do is get pissed off and want to punch them because they're lying right to your face. And you know they're lying. And they're evil, vile people. They're just evil, vile people. Dr. Detroit, $5. The soundtrack to Last American Virgin. Oh, I don't know. Do I have to look it up? Wisdom Vision Productions, $5. IT Crowd. Have you tried forcing an unexpected reboot? That's how network technicians treat IT specialists. Believe it or not. What do you mean IT specialists? An unexpected. Remember the episode where they gave Jen the internet? Oh, all right. If the Hawk says it's okay, then it's okay by me. Here, we give you the internet. Doesn't weigh anything, Jen. It's a great show. If you guys haven't seen the IT Crowd, y'all got to see the IT Crowd. Great British comedy. It's the one where all of her normal friends can't make the dinner, and she's got to invite the 3 Hanyakers over to dinner. And she's like, just act normal. And they're like, huh, trying. Oh, that's a great one. All right. That's it. I'll catch you guys later. I think I might do one more. And good question, by the way. I had to go and research a little bit of something. So see you guys later. Toodles.